the most freeing things that white people can do, or actually any human being on the planet could do right now, is to just say, of course I'm racist. Of course I'm racist. Our society speaks racism. It has spoken racism since we were born.
Well, it seems that Portland kindergarten teachers took that to heart because new teaching materials that are obtained exclusively by Chris Rufo expose how race has now infected the already sexually obsessed curriculum that's inside the Portland public schools. Now, I want to show you just a couple of these slides. One suggests that even the word trans can be racist, as it is the language preferred by the colonizers. Instead, they recommend adding something called two spirits to be exclusively indigenous. And if that isn't bad enough, one of their slides glamorizes the act of rioting as an acceptable reaction to anything perceived to be white colonization. Here now is Chris Rufo, Manhattan Institute Senior Fellow. Chris, so now gender is colonized, and I don't really even understand the trans thing at all. I'm not following that. But what the heck is going on here? Kids as young as 5?
Yeah, exactly. So what's happening is that Portland Public Schools has taken academic queer theory and turned it into a K through 5 pedagogy. They're teaching kids that some boys can have vaginas, some girls can have penises. They're encouraging them to adopt synthetic sexual identities such as genderqueer, non-binary, and pansexual. And then they're telling kids that this is part of a political movement. It was critical race theory last year. It's queer theory this year. You have to get on board. You have to reshape your identity according to this ideology. And then by the end of 5th grade, they actually have them reading out commitments to commit their lives to radical left-wing activism by the ages of 10 and 11 years old.
Now, in this slide, the Portland public education system trying to demonize the idea of gender altogether, saying that gender is something that adults came up with to sort people into groups. Now, Chris, they're trying to erase the idea of the two sexes, like this is binary, completely. That's way out the window.
Exactly, and the best way to think of this is critical race theory divides the world into racial groups and saying that they're fundamentally against each other, oppressing one another. They're trying to do the same thing with sex, saying that white heterosexual men have always oppressed racial and sexual minorities. It's the same kind of basic Marxist theory now applied to both race and gender. It's happening in Portland. It's happening all over this country in our K through 12 public schools.
Now, this next slide you obtained, I think, is the most disturbing, describing gender dysphoria. It says, if a kid is still figuring out I love that, their gender and needs time to figure out what body part shapes and expressions they want, they can take hormone blockers that cause puberty and give them, pause puberty and give them time to figure out who they are. So, Chris, they're pushing the idea of medically altering your body on little kids. That's what could go wrong there?
These are our 4th and 5th graders, and they're telling them they can start puberty blockers. They can get double mastectomies for the girls. They can adopt these synthetic sexual identities, such as trans and non-binary, and doing all of this without notifying parents. Everyone should be on guard for this ideology in the schools because it's coming. It's coming to a school near you.
Now, I know Portland is a liberal place, but do most parents and, immigrant parents, is this what they want for their kids?
It's absolutely not. It's deeply unpopular. And actually, just minutes ago, after I broke this story, the administrators at Portland Public Schools started furiously deleting all of these documents from their websites, from the internet, because they can only do this in secrecy. They can only do this by hiding it from parents, by hiding it from the public. But when we shine a light on it, when parents show up at those school board meetings and start to make their voices heard, these ideologies shrink and crumble because they can't stand the light of day. They're evil, they're harming kids, and parents have to stand up and fight back to make sure that no more lives are ruined by queer theory and these harmful ideologies.
No, but remember, Merrick Garland is going to make sure that all these parents are considered domestic extremists if they get a little heated at these school board meetings, which a lot of moms and dads, when they see this stuff, they're going to get a little heated. So now they're going to have to be worried about being categorized as domestic terrorists. So that's the other thing we're dealing with. Chris, invaluable service you provided tonight. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.